Just going to be a pop type music or a street music.
Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Alicia. So it is going to be another sit down video, another cost and material breakdown for the house that we are building in Jamaica. There have been some updates. So the last video I actually posted about the house and the cost and everything, that video was recorded summer of 2025. It is now March of 2026 and we have made some progress. So summer of 2025 I did do we got the columns and the lintels done, so I'm going to talk about those costs today. And then January, the end of January 2026, we got the belting done, so I'm also going to talk about those costs today. There have been some updates regarding the rest of the house, like the belting and stuff, regarding this year, I will say. First, from my last video, I was in school full-time and only working part-time. Right now, I am working full-time. I graduated in December, so I am currently working full-time. My husband is also working full-time. And so we have a little bit more money to play with in terms of saving for the house. We're trying to keep our bills. Obviously, we still have to keep our bills and everything like that at a minimum. So we are still living way below our means because we want to get this house done. We want to put a lot of money towards the house, and obviously we still have to save here. We still have to pay rent. We still have to pay all our other bills. Our monthly bills right now, hold on, let me go a little closer because my camera keeps like going out of focus. Our monthly bills right now is around 3,000 US dollars. I think the last time I said it was around $2,500 a month. I don't remember what I said, but right now minimum is 3,000 US dollars. We stopped doing the partner in the US and we're only doing the partners in Jamaica because that is a lot easier right now. And yeah, so that's all the updates. I'm gonna get into the costs, what it cost us to do the belting, the lintels, and the columns. So let's begin. I got my handy dandy notebook right here that I write everything in. So if you see me veering off to the side, I am looking at my notebook to make sure I give you guys the full number, to make sure I give you guys everything that you need. Lintels and columns. I wanted to do lintels and columns before I left Jamaica, so actually, I wanted to start the fence. I wanted to start the fence around the property, but my cousin was like, let's do the columns because those will support the house in case of a hurricane and anything like that, so the blocks don't blow down. Okay, and I'm glad we did that because we did have Hurricane Melissa. So from my previous video, in the first figure, which was $1.1 million, we did buy the steel that was used for the columns. So we already bought the steel that was used for the columns, and we already paid the worker to do the steel, like tie up the steels for the columns. So that cost will not be in this right here. Okay, trip one. So I think I did 2 trips at the hardware. Remember, I was in Jamaica. This was from summer of 2025, so I was able to spend the money myself. So 2 trips at the hardware. The first trip we got 40 bags of cement. That was $70,000 for 40 bags of cement. We got 3 lengths of the 2x16 2x6x16 steel. That was 9,600. We got 15 lengths of the 1/2 inch steel, and that was 19,500. 10 pounds of 2.5 inch nail, that was 3,600. 7 pounds of 2.5 inch wire nail, that was $1,330. And then delivery was $2,000. So each trip at the hardware, you have to pay for delivery. And I do tip the delivery men. Sometimes I tip them like $1,000, sometimes $1,500, sometimes $500. It depends on how much cash I actually have on hand, because most of the time I use my card when I go to the hardware, so I don't really have any cash on hand. But I do like tip them. I realized after the first trip that tipping is expected. And then board rental. So we did have to rent boards to do the columns and the lintels. We had to rent board, and I'll put like a picture to the side right here so you guys can see. So the board rental cost us $25,000 to rent the board, the forms to do those. And we did have to buy 13 more pounds of concrete nail, so that was $4,680. So the first trip in total to do the lintels and the column cost us $135,710 for material. So the second trip, we needed lard, so I got 2 lard. That was $2,500 for 2. We needed pipes to do plumbing, some plumbing pipes, I don't know, that was $5,000. We needed water. Water is $2,500. We do have a big black tank, and we fill that. To fill it right now is $2,500. They just raised the cost to $3,000. So the next time we're filling the tank, it's going to be $3,000. But for this specific time, it was $2,500 to fill the tank. We did need a few more blocks for whatever. No, we need a few more blocks for something, I don't know for what, but that was $9,000. 3 lines of steel, that was $3,900, and then delivery to bring the forms was $1,500. That's what I have written down. I don't know what forms I brought, but I'm thinking it was probably something else. I'm thinking the delivery was to bring like the lard and stuff from the hardware. That was $1,500, and then delivery 2 was $3,000 because I had to bring some steel from my mom's house to the work site because they were also working on the pit, the cesspool, the whatever you call it. They were working on that, so I had to bring some steel and something else from my mom's house to the work site. That was $3,000 to get those where it was going. So the second trip at the hardware cost us 27,400 Jamaican dollars. And then we did do a third trip. So the third trip, he needed lumber 1x3x12. That was $1,000, and then he also needed Solitex. That was $2,250. So the third trip cost us $3,250. So the material for the lintels and the columns cost us roughly $166,360. That's what the materials cost. Now we're going to go into the labor. So the labor, I was quoted $400,000 to get the lintels and the columns both done. From my last video, one person, just one or two person was saying that like the cost sounded expensive. Again, this is my first house, or this is our first house. Like, I've never built a house before, so I don't know if it's expensive or not. I don't know if I'm getting a discount or not. I know I got a discount on the belting, so when I go into that, you guys will hear that. But yeah, that's just what it costs. The labor was $400,000. I didn't have to pay it one time, which is good. Like, that's the goodness of working with that's the goodness of working with family, I guess. With my cousin being the contractor, I didn't have to pay it all at once this round. So we did get, like, I think we got a partner draw. So we got a partner draw for $400,000, and then I had to find the rest. So by the time we bought material, because I had to do something out of the partner draw, so it wasn't like 400. But by the time we bought material, I only had $200,000 to pay on the labor costs, which I did. And then in September, I was able to give my cousin the other $200,000. So that's how that went. Oh, and also I forgot transportation. Also for myself to go back and forth to the work site, I rounded it off to $2,000. It was probably more. At one point, I was giving my uncle money to buy something for his car, just so the car would run so he could take me to the work site. Okay, so I'm gonna add that $2,000, and in total we spent $568,360 to complete the lintels and the columns. So that's to deck it or cast it. I don't know what's the term, but to cast the lintels and the columns, it cost us $568,360. So that's that. All right, so now we're on the belting. As far as the belting goes, I was not able to go to Jamaica to do the belting. I had no plans of really being there to do the belting. My husband as well, there was no plans for either of us to be there to do the belting. My mom is in Jamaica, and so even though she's not really overseeing the project, she sent me pictures and videos of what the belting looks like, or the process of the belting being done, and all of that. So we did the belting at the end of January, going into the first week of February. That's when, like, I got the money. We had another partner draw in Jamaica, which was $400,000 again, and so that's what we used to do the belting. Hold on, my husband is calling me. So for the belting, Again, we had a partner draw that we were getting for $400,000, so that went towards the belting. And then the rest of the money, I'm working full-time right now, my husband is working full-time, so we just saved from our paychecks to pay the rest of it. So the first trip at that hardware, this is what the receipts that my cousin sent me, and this is what they needed. The first trip, they needed 10 pounds of 2.5-inch nail, that was $1,900. 12 pounds of 2.5-inch concrete nail, that was $4,320. And then they need 1/4 ton of steel, that was $36,500. 10 pounds of binding wire for $1,500. 15 length of steel, I didn't put what steel it was, so now I don't even know. But that was $18,000. Delivery was $2,000. 35 bags of cement, that was $61,250. And so in total, the first trip of the hardware, the first trip at the hardware was $125,470. For the second trip, delivery $1,500. 10 bags of cement, $17,500. 10 lengths of 1/2-inch steel, $13,000. We needed ply, I'm guessing it was 1 ply, that was $4,900. 8 lengths of 1 by 3 by 12 steel, that was $6,800. 10 lengths of some other steel, I don't know what steel that was. That was $8,220. 10 lengths of 3 by 8 by 30 steel, $8,230. So the second trip was $51,920. And then rental boards to do the belting was $28,000. We needed 250 more blocks to run around the perimeter of the house. That was $37,500. We needed a tank of water. That was $2,500. We needed 2 yards of sand. That was $7,000. And then I had to pay a family friend to bring drums from my mom's house there. That was $5,000. Okay, so material cost to do the belting was $252,390. And then the labor for the belting, so at first I was quoted $370,000 for the labor for the belting, but then he took off $100,000, so I got $100,000 discount, and so I only paid $270 for the labor to do the belting. So in total, the belting cost us $522,390 to do the belting. So yeah, that was the belting. And so if we calculate everything again, it is another $1,089,390. I'm going to round it up to $1.1 million again, because there were other things that I paid for that I probably forgot. I had to pay people to use their light just so they could get current to like cut boards and stuff like that. So I had to pay more people to do things, like it was a lot of miscellaneous things. So I'm gonna round it up to another $1.1 million to do the lintels, the columns, and the belting. That includes material and labor cost, and you guys heard everything that I went through, and told you how much I paid for everything, so you guys know. So in total, we spent $2.2 million on the house already, and we still have the decking to do, rough cast, render, plumbing, all electrical, all type of stuff. We still have those to do. So right now we're standing at $2.2 million, and we'll see what the future holds with the other costs. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye.